G'day, punters. Welcome to a huge Derby Day edition of All In. Louis Willoughby's back. Dean Watling's tipping winners. It's like nothing's ever changed. Welcome, Louis. How are you?
Yeah, good, Gannon. Just having a quick look. I don't think that comb you pulled out pre-record did you much good there, son. It's like you've been hit by static electricity. It's standing up.
He was at the Valley on Friday night.
I'm in all sorts. I've had about 47 goes with the old comb, and it's just not working. It's just not working, but here we are. Dino, how are you?
Good to be back, mate. Sorry to drive you by as well there, just at the top of the show. I had to come back with a bang, though, didn't I? Try and keep my spot on the team. So, yeah, good to be back.
No, that's great, mate. Thanks. Dino, how are you?
Oh, good. Oh, I love it. It's good to have Louis back. As always, put you in your place, Gannon, which I love. But excited, boys. This Spring Carnival, it just gets better and better every week. I think we're starting to see a good mix of Melbourne and Sydney chiming in, and just as a racing fan, I'm loving it.
Super stuff. And boys, for the punters out there, please make sure you are subscribing on YouTube, following on Twitter, get around the boys, Lewis Willoughby on Twitter, Dean Watling, the Barrier Attendant on Twitter as well. All right, before we move into a massive weekend of racing, I think Louis called Grand Final Day about 6 weeks ago. We are now getting pretty close to the Grand Final Day. This will be our fourth Grand Final in the 4 weeks. What was your highlight from the weekend, Lewis Willoughby?
Look, I was just glad that after what happened on Friday night at the Valley, with that crazy weather, that we were able to get through a really good Cox Plate program unscathed. To touch on Sydney as well, was I on elliptical that got nutted on the line? Yes, I was. So I don't really want to talk about that race, although I know, Gatto, you tipped it. So I'm just pretending like that meeting didn't happen. And at the Valley, where I had a bit more luck, there was some good races. Obviously, Animo are just an absolute champion of a horse. We can touch on that a bit, I guess. He did have the right run and everything went right. But in racing, sometimes that's what you need. You do need everything to go right. And there were some cracking wins outside of that. One that really sticks out in my mind was Sajard and winning. I can't remember what it was the Red Anchor Stakes, I think. Sweet ride. I had a few guys over at my house. They were on Sweet Ride. They've crowed it 100 to go. One of them got up and started clapping, and Sajard's come from nowhere to nail it. So that was a win that stood out for me. But yeah, it was a great weekend, wasn't it?
Absolutely super. Dino, what was your takeaway from the weekend, mate?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing was, which pretty much revolves around everything, is the way the track played at Moonee Valley. I think if we get the way the track played every year, I think we can have that Monday, Friday meeting, no worries at all. I think that was outstanding. You were betting with confidence every single race. So I really love that. My highlight was Bella Nipotina and the multi boys. We got to touch on the multi. That was outstanding. All in plays, all three of us. Lovely, boys. Well done. Pat on the back.
Yeah, we nailed it and got one message about 2 o'clock in the morning, I think, from a follower that was pretty pumped. He cleaned up a few $1,000s there, maybe 3,000 or 4,000. And then since then, probably 4 or 5 other messages flowing in going, we got in as well. So up you go, punters. Good to know people are actually listening. Louis, sucked in with elliptical, sharp and smart, way too good, 3 wide the trip. I know there was one in behind there with She's Extreme that probably was a very good run. And they put up, there's still $5 about the Oaks. Please take some of that if you're allowed, where they have the $5. Take some. I'll tell you what, though. How good was Bella Nipotina? And I dropped the ball here because Bella Nipotina was like one of my better all-in plays. It was fantastic. And then Friday night, still a moral Friday night. I thought, by the way the track will play, by last race on Saturday, you're still going to ticket Bella Nipotina. I made Polili a really good bet. I think the horse may have gone wrong there. That's just punting, though, isn't it? But wow, super impressive. Righto, lads, let's go. Let's get stuck into it. Lewis Willoughby, kick us off. What are we starting with?
Right, so we're focusing on 3 races in this episode, the Derby, the Coolmore, the Golden Eagle. So let's start with the Derby, of course, first day of the big Melbourne Cup Carnival, 4 days. I know you boys will be down there at the back end of it. Said to be a ripper, 4 days of just absolute punting heaven. So for the VRC Derby, 2,500 metres, 3-year-olds, Group 1. We don't have a market yet, but a few that are pretty much confirmed to be going. Mr. Maestro with Damien Lane, Muramasa, Dean Moore, Sharp and Smart. J-Mac will take the ride. Barclay Square, Craig Williams takes the ride. Pericles, they're flying in. William Buick, Godolphin, Fajita San McNeil, Distrustful Award, Dean Yendall, a few others down the board. King's Crossing with John Allen and Highland Blaze with Liam Reardon. So there are a few that are probably going to be somewhere strong in the market. Dino, what have you made of the VRC Derby this year?
Yeah, it's a pretty good addition, I thought, of the Derby. I think the 2,500 race and whole, I think it should be reduced, but I think it's been a nice build up to this. I'm with Gano's pet horse, Mr. Maestro. I just think back on a dry track, this horse has an elite turn of foot, which we saw 2 starts ago. He's had that real big fitness base leading into this, which I think is key. So I'm with Mr. Maestro, and I'm going to have a big saver on Pericles. I think the market loved it on Saturday. It was $4.20 to $3 late. That's big money on a Group 1 day. 1,400 meters, 2,000. I think that's not the right profile. Now, 4 fitness. I think they're the 2 we can back out of the race. So keen to be with Mr. Maestro and a little saver on Pericles. Hard horse to pronounce.
Parasols, maybe, perhaps, but either way, what was doing there on, was it Saturday race? Jamie I thought she was on a rocking horse, mate. She just sat there, and I'm thinking, I spoke to Gareth about it yesterday, Gareth Hall, and he was like, "Oh, it's one horse to follow." What's doing? I can't work out what you do with it, because it wasn't under riding, it wasn't under duress, and was still travelling, but then she kind of went for it. Louis, anything? Can you help me?
Yeah, look, we touching what Dino said, 1,400, 2,000. She was swinging off it on the turn. Who am I to tell Jamie Carr what to do? So just probably block your ears about what I'm sort of trying to say here. But I think for a staying horse now, you can't just sit and sprint. You've got to build momentum. So it's not like a sprinter where you can swing off it because you know it's only got that really short turn of foot and you don't want to use that up. I think if she started pushing it out before the turn, it probably stays on a bit more because there's no big turn of foot there, right? So she sat on it, turned the foot. The others with momentum went past. So, look, I don't think it's a sack. It was a really good run. It's only been beaten 0.8 of a length. They go an extra 400 metres. You might think that Barclay Square would win by more, but I think with momentum earlier that this thing will stay on all right. And getting William Buick on as well, I think to get him over, obviously probably riding in the Melbourne Cup, but to get him there first day, put it on in a Group 1, I can't sack it, but I'm not tipping it either.
I reckon Virtuous Circle is a horse out of that race you wanted to follow. But I'll tell you, interestingly enough, so Mr. Maestro has been mine from like pretty much the beginning. Happy to be there. I think that his turn of foot, as Dino touched on, is the best. I think his preparation is by far the best. My one massive query is Sharp and Smart. Massive query, and was funnily enough was my best bet at Randwick. No trumpet is what it is, Dino. You can't help it. You back and winners is what it is, mate. But it's now on a 7-day backup, and this will be his 3rd run in 18 days, given that gloaming meeting was moved across. So is that a question for you boys? And just simply give me a yes or no, because we're not going to go on here for 100 hours. The viewers don't want to hear you going on about it. Yes or no, 3 runs in 18 days, positive or negative? Dino?
Positive.
Louis?
Yeah, positive.
Fantastic. There you go, boys. And that is why I'm scared stiff of Smart and Sharp. So they're the 2 for me. Mr. Maestro, Smart and Sharp, back them both. They're the only 2 that are possible chances of winning the race.
Yeah, look, and Ace High came through a Spring Champion Stakes as well, so it's not to win this race. So it's not an impossible form line. Look, I've got no real firm opinion on the race. The ones at the top of the market, the ones we've all just mentioned there, complete respect for. I was going to throw one in. Again, I don't have a market in front of me to see what it is. It could be massive odds. It's called Fearless Knight, and it ran in the Group 3 Neds Classic behind the current, or what was the current fave when the market disappeared. That form line, that Group 3 Neds Classic, used to be called the Caulfield Classic, and both Warning and Extra Brute came through that race. Neither of them won it too. So it was a really good run. I think it's going to eat up 2,400 metres. Whether or not it's got the class of these, again, I don't know. I don't have an opinion. But if it's, $60, I'll be having $5 on it because I think it'll like the distance. But yeah, I'll leave that one.
Send you $5 over here, Louis. I'll be able to buy some hair product or something.
Well, yeah, maybe. We should get some sponsors on this show. Some Ashley and Martin or something. All
right, that's good.
Awesome sports comp or whatever it is, whatever. Coolmore. Let's go to the Coolmore. This is going to be a cracking race. Return to Flemington down the straight, which we love. Again, no real market to go off here, but we've got Jackano with D Lane, Buenos Noches, Craig Newitt, Grand Impact Mark Zara, Natuno for Damien Oliver, Sir Jardin, John Allen on the backup, perhaps. Jamie Mott on Lofty Strike. And William Buick again on Meridius here. And Cannonball for Brett Preble. And the others here. Cool and Gatters there with Craig Williams. And In Secret for Jay McDonald's. Gano for the Coolmore.
It's a pretty easy one to dissect here. I think there's form lines everywhere, but Jacquinot's the one. We're talking 1,200 metres up Flemington straight, can sometimes feel like 1,300. It's pretty big, they get out and they get going. Wow. Barrier draw probably plays a big part in this, but if we look back at that Everest run, Jacquinot's Everest run was enormous. Absolutely enormous. And not far past the post, it was there and thereabouts. If you swap runs potentially with other horses, it could have won the race. It's had In Secret's measure. Yes, In Secret's been kept fresh. Would we prefer Jacquinot maybe another week more fresh? Maybe. I don't know, but I'm with Jacquinot.
Yeah, I agree. I think the only knock for me is first time Flemington.
Yeah.
He's been a horse who's loved the bend. It's just, I guess, Home Affairs come through the Everest, which is the great form line that you referenced this year, Gano. And he was outstanding in that Everest. And I think that's the A-grade form. Just whether or not he's going to love the Flemington Straight, but I don't think that's enough to turn you out of a bet. I think he's clearly the best horse in the race. 3 weeks between runs is absolutely perfect. And I think we'll see this profile, which Home Affairs has set for years to come, that Everest and back up into this race. His turn of foot's elite, and I think it'll be even better if he's got a horse to follow into this. I think I was keen to be with Buenos Nachos, obviously with that Giga Kick form, but would have liked to seen a better sort of back marker jockey on. Craig Newell, obviously good front running jockey, but you need someone with timing and soft hands with these back markers to glide him into the race. That's my knock on Buenos Nachos. There's a couple others there we can reference. Economics is probably one that's going to be a big price. Would have started $2 and probably won that Blue Sapphire. Its jump out at Flemington this week was outstanding, but I'm with you, Gannon, firmly in the Jacquinot camp. I think he'll be winning and winning well.
Dana, just quickly, sorry to interrupt, Louis. When we're talking about Flemington profiles, we're talking about a horse that's gone Melbourne way, Sydney way, gone to a track like Rosehill and performed in the past, gone to Randwick, performed in the past. The Flemington Straight should be a breeze, but Louis might be able to touch on that more.
Well, yeah, look, I'm going to make it a trifecta of Jacquinot punters here. And if you wanted to hear what I say, just rewind to what Gannon said. Completely took the words out of my mouth. If he had a different run in that Everest, I am guaranteed he wins. Swap the run of him in Giga Kick and he wins by more. Do you know what I mean? It was, apart from Nature Strip being probably the run of the race with that tempo in front, this was second run of the race, or equal, if not equal first for me. It was enormous.
Sneaky too, Louis. Like it was
hugely sneaky. Had to stay on the inside and couldn't get out and around runners. So it was just darting through the whole way. Didn't really have an option from where it settled in the run. But as I said, if it was outside them, I'm so sure it wins. But to echo then you, Dino, my concerns are Flemington Straight first time. And I was reading this morning, Mick Price said that he came back to Sydney and he could tell that he was a bit jaded from that Everest run, that he felt that run. He says it's all good now, but you never really like to see at any stage a trainer come out and say, yeah, it was pretty gassed after that, because you can never be 100% confident that they're going to come back and run to a peak or new peak the next start.
It's interesting that you suggested it was gassed. It wasn't a type of run that you would think a horse would be gassed from, is it? That sneaking, waiting.
Maybe the travel too, though, could be a range of things. Traveling to and from.
Yeah.
And it's still fourth. What is he? Fourth up now. So I guess, and he's been spaced his runs, but it's not something you want to hear from a trainer. I think Peter Moody said that out of the Caulfield Cup last year with Incentivised. So that was, but I think 3 weeks probably counters that, Louis.
Yeah, it should. And he said yesterday on Sunday that he was fine. He'll gallop in Tuesday with a few others in the race, and it should all be good. But I think if he handles the straight and he's all good, and I don't know what price we're going to get here, but yeah, Jacquinot for me.
Around the 350 marker was, Louis, 350 to $4. Yeah,
which is
if it's $4, that's 100% load up. Rightio, Golden Eagle to Sydney we head, and this one I actually do have a market for. Light Infantry is the $4.50 favourite at this stage. I wish I win at 5. Others are Valana, Chain of Lightning, Hinged, Fangirl, Mr. Mozart. You've got to think maybe that not all of these would go. If we kind of look what Jamie Spencer's on Light Infantry, by the way, Converges there. Luke Nolan, all right, I wish I win. Nashville Wheeler on Valana. Sam Clipperton on Brigantine. Geordie Child's Cardinal Gem. Who else? Bowman on Fangirl and McAvoy on Hinged and Jay Carr on Chain of Lightning. Dino, for the Golden Eagle, 1,500 4-year-olds at set weights.
Yeah, first off the top, boys, I want to get an answer, yes or no, out of use to international jockeys first up in bid races in Australia. Do you like it? Yes or no?
No.
Yeah. Can I say that I was also going to ask that same question prior with William Buick coming? I was about to say I wish someone had the stats on big jockeys first up Australia Group 1s. I don't know. My answer is I don't know.
I don't really like. I think Randwick and Flemington, maybe that's the two that you're fine with. Obviously, they're big tracks. There's not much to them. But Moonee Valley and a couple other niche tracks, I just don't see the upside with it. I think we saw it with Gold Trip and the ride there. I think that was just didn't know the track and etc. Anyway, back to the race. It's a really good edition this year, a cracking edition actually. Light Infantry has really good Group 1 form around a really nice horse overseas, and the stable being bullish. Gareth Hall on the SEN sort of shows, been tipping this up to myself and Gannon for weeks, saying it's a moral. So I think we have to respect that. I think I Wish I Win was enormous in the 2-rack off a really, really hot tempo, back to 1,500 meters now. I think that suits. He's my pick at the moment. I think he's going to run a mighty race. And the one at big odds, which I tipped up to the boys last night, I think Well War for the Chris Waller stable. He's a big price. He's been crunched into $17 now. His trial's been really good. He doesn't have the credentials of light infantry, but I think this horse can run well, and he looks like he's acclimatized, which is half the battle you see with these horses. But I think there's 5 or 6 here, Gunner, you can make a case for.
Yeah, it's interesting. Light infantry, they suggested as an absolute mudlark, swims, Ian Thorpe, et cetera. You had the, all that stuff there. But the rain's now stopped in Sydney. There was meant to be 45 mils. It's a soft 6. It's going to be 27 degrees every day after. The track was probably a soft 7 now. It'll be back to Group 4.
It poured here this morning, like proper poured.
Yeah, but you live in the suburbs, mate. Us battlers out in the west, doesn't rain out there, mate.
I'm just telling you, I'm close to the track.
To Rosehill.
Oh, no.
Oh.
Yeah, right. Disregard me.
Oh, I may need hair transplants, but you might need to have a good look at yourself. Righto. So we'll be racing. I reckon we'll be racing no worse than a soft 5, but I think we might be in a good 4, which is a big bit of a question mark about light infantry. Then you throw Jamie Spencer on, another huge question mark. As Dino mentioned before, it's Rosehill. It's a little bit trickier. The 1,500 metre start's probably a bonus because it's probably the easiest starting point for a jockey to lob and check it out. I really struggle to find any angles here. I think Dino is really onto something clearly. He's tipped it to us at 100. It's into $17 now. I love the fact it's had a trial. I hate the fact that Frankie's on. That disappoints me. Like if it was a genuine shot, Huey would be on. Anyhow, what do you do? We've got to have a tip. I've been saying this, that Valana's been my golden eagle tip for 4 weeks now. We've got a good price, so let's just stick solid.
Fangirl, Gannon. Dry track, 1,500 metres. That's dry track is the key.
Definitely. I've just been waiting. I think, Fangirl, Roots, Espiona, there's a couple of those Waller horses. I just want to get them to Flemington. I don't know. He's the best, but can we just get them to Flemington on a dry track, please?
Boys, I'm surprised that I thought Valana was. I can't believe it's $8.
Yeah,
I thought this was the easiest bet of all the races we've previewed here. This has to be a bet. It smashed them in the Silver Eagle.
Smashed them.
Smashed them.
Proper.
He's undefeated second up, which is what it's going to be. Handles all track conditions. And not only smashed them to the eye, but smashed them on the clocks. Last 6.42 was great. Huge gap to second and the rest. Look, with respect to the favourite light infantry, I can't line up because it's an international form line, Group 1 runner. Definitely respecting that, but I can't. I thought I would open up this market and I'd see this favourite, and I cannot believe it's $8. This is bet of the week here.
Yeah, I love it, Louis, and clearly come back a better horse.
Massive. Yep.
Love it. Love your work. Righto. That gets us a nice little segue into the best all-in play of the week. We'll kick off with you, Lewis Willoughby. I reckon you're going to go with Valana.
Look, I really like Fearless Night in the Dark. No, I'm joking. Yeah, Valana. This is all Valana. Like, take everything I own and put it on it.
Love it. So $32.50 on Valana. Dino?
Not bad. Mine's in the Nature Strip Stakes, 1,300 metres, lost and running. Wins the Everest last week if it runs, boys, and we'll be winning this race.
That's the most ridiculous statement I've ever heard, Dean Watling. You can give yourself an uppercut as well. You and my trusty little airbrush over here can get in the bin. How can you get away with saying that?
Because you're allowed opinions in this game, Gannon. That's the whole point of it.
Yeah, I own a share in a couple that probably would have won the Everest if they lobbed as well. We go to the Coolmore, and Jack and I will be my best all-in play of the week. Righto, it's been fun. It's been good. Before we move on to midweek best bets, what are you most looking forward to this week, Louis?
Gee, waking up tomorrow? I don't know.
Yeah, where's this going?
Tough. Dino?
Is this going? So I'm making my debut at Flemington for Derby Day, so I cannot wait. Counting down the next 4 days. I'm not keen for the drive down.
You're driving down?
Yeah.
Oh
Ganno's private jet's gone in for a service this week, so we can't take it.
I'll tell you what, I am absolutely pumped. This is massive. I know it's about grand final days, but this day and the next 14 days of racing or whatever we're talking about here are just going to be enormous. I cannot wait. Righto, before we do have to wait though, we're going to go to midweek best bets. Lewis Willoughby, what do you got?
Yeah, Bendigo Cup Day on Wednesday. Big program. Track currently a heavy 8, but I'm going to kick things off in the first. Race 1, number 2, Songman, ran 4th on debut at Mornington, but got back and had just zero chance with a really severe leader bias on that day. Ran home second best last 2 of the meeting, defied the bias to get as close as it did. Extra distance here, second up, fitter, natural improvement, a more even track here at Bendigo, and the wider draw suits with the wet, which I think it'll handle because it was a soft 6 there at Mornington. Yeah, it's a bit different on a heavy 8, but I'm pretty keen it handles it. So Bendigo, race 1, number 2, Songman to start us on a Bendigo Cup Day.
Dino, what do you got, mate?
Race 1, number 6, Randwick Kensington, my favourite track in Sydney on Wednesday. Kazoo for the Wallace stable, been scratched 1 billion times. Trial on Friday was elite. All its trials have been elite. Short, but it will be winning Wednesday, boys.
Love that. I'm going to go to Hawkesbury on Tuesday. Race 5, number 5, Huon, I think is how we pronounce it. I could be wrong there, but it's been gelded. Tactical speed, sits on pace, likes the heavy track. 3 starts, 1 win, 1 second, 1 third. Gets a little bit of a weight relief for the apprentice there, and we'll be giving an enormous sight for us. Righto, don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, get around it. We're nearly there. We're nearly there for Cup Week. Cannot wait. Boys, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, fellas.
Bye. Good.